Welcome back to the 5th episode of Leaders Today Season 4. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us over here. आप लोगों ने जितना हमें सराहा है उससे हमें और भी ज़्यादा प्रेरणा मिलती है कि हम और ऐसी हस्तियों को आपके सामने लेकर आए जिससे कि आपको उनसे प्रेरणा मिल सके और आप भी अपने जीवन में उतने ही सफल बने और दिग्गज बने जितने कि वे सब हैं और हमारे बीच आके हमारे साथ बैठे और अपनी कहानी यानी कि आपकी कहानी, आपकी जुबानी पूरे संसार के साथ आप शेयर कर सके। इसी बात पे मुझे एक चीज याद आती है कि आप जब सुबह उठते हैं, जब आप उठते हैं, टूथब्रश यूज करते हैं, आप जाते हैं वॉश बेसिन पे, यू ओपन द टैप, ऑलराइट, यू टेक अ बाथ, यू यूज सोप्स, यू यूज शैम्पूज, देन यू वेयर योर क्लोथ्स, ऑलराइट, you open the almirah door तो उसका हैंडल है अलग से. I mean, just look around. Everything that you see around yourself is a result of design thinking, right? And anything that has achieved the stage of design thinking or has been approved after that is into production because it is being produced in a factory in some part of this country somewhere. It might be near your city, in your region, in the state. It might be coming from overseas. लेकिन जो भी प्रोडक्ट आप यूज करते हैं वो एक फैक्ट्री प्रोडक्ट है. So if product is a design, factory design is a bigger problem because only then you can achieve the kind of perfection जो कि एक प्रोडक्ट को मिल सकता है, जिसको कोई खरीद सकता है, जिसको कोई यूज कर सकता है, and they become brands later. And designing factories for the past 60 years is M.R. Varekar and Associates, a towering name in the nation. And now in their third generation, we have Mr. Siddhant Shah with us representing M.R. Varekar and Associates. Thank you so much for being with us over here, Siddhant.
Thank you so much. Firstly, thank you for that extremely kind introduction. Thank you so much for having me and I look forward to this chat with you.
Wonderful. And in fact, all our viewers will be looking forward to the chat with you. And it's a privilege to have you over here. There are specifically one particular reason why I say this, because viewers, this is something to be noted, there are 3 generations of business that is going on in M.R. Varekar and Associates. Usually there are a lot of rifts. There is a difference of understanding from the old generation to the middle one to the new one who is born on the wheels of a Ferrari, like Mr. Siddhant Shah over here, who gathered his education from UK. And still you are taking forward that legacy and you all are entwined together like one family. How amazing, and more than amazing, how inspiring is that?
Thank you again for your kind words. So as a firm, like you rightly said, so we have been in the business for the last 59, 60 years now. So the firm was started by Mr. Varekar, Mr. M.R. Varekar, after whom the firm is named. A year later, my grandfather, Mr. S.B. Shah, joined him and they became partners. And as a firm, we've seen a lot. We've seen a lot of ups and downs. We've seen a lot in our journey. And we sort of pivoted to the design of factories and warehouses, which, as you rightly mentioned, is a very, very niche field in itself.
Yeah. And it's a specialization. I'm hearing for the first time that there are companies that are actually doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, like when people ask me what is, my mother, who's our principal architect, she's a thorough architect, and she says that industrial design is the stepchild of architecture, because you look at aesthetics second and you look at functionality first. You need to think as a supply chain engineer. Absolutely. Yeah. You need to think as a supply chain engineer. You need to think as an automation engineer first, and you need to think of it as an aesthetic setting later. कि आपका ट्रक कहाँ से अंदर जा रहा है, कहाँ से बाहर जा रहा है, आपका फैक्ट्री फ्लो कैसे कर रहा है, हाउ कैन यू मेक दोज माइनर चेंजेस दैट कैन टेक अ फैक्ट्री फ्रॉम गुड टू ग्रेट. And like you rightly said, so we've been in the business for the last 59 years. We've had the pleasure of designing factories for the last, I'd say 50 years. We've been designing factories. We've designed like a little over 2,000 factories now.
And you also have close to 100 people in your firm who are at it day and night.
That's correct. So our firm, we've got a technical team of about 100 or so people. We're designing I'd say over 20 million square feet of factories and warehouses right now in-house. Like for us, it's a testament to the kind of work we're doing and the testament to the kind of trust that people bestow in us. And how you were talking about family, for us, like you said, we've worked together through generations. I'm the third generation in this business. I had the pleasure of being trained by my grandfather in what he did, and I feel really proud that I'm taking his legacy forward. And for us, our clients are like family to us.
You know what, as you said that कि आप लोगों की इसके अंदर महारत है, you have the expertise and you look into the functionality first, because that is what is more important. Design is secondary to function, especially when it comes to a factory, because processes are very important. And viewers, everyone who has earned an ISO certificate is a result of that factory design, because without the right proper design, it is very difficult, because वो certificates मिलना भी मुश्किल हो जाएगा, because processes get delayed and you know, if they're not in an order, I think all these things go into consideration.
No, absolutely. And it's not just that. So there are people who are exporting, and each country has their own export laws. So we do a lot of fast moving consumer goods. Like you said, you can't go a day in this country without using a product that's come out of factory that we've designed.
And to bring it to your you know, to your kind I would say to your kind self, Pepsi, you know, wherever the factory is, it has been designed by them, I guess.
So we've done over 70 projects for Pepsi. We've done close to 20 projects for Britannia, similar number for Supreme Industries. The list goes on. So you really can't go a day without, in this country, without using a product that's come out of a factory that we've designed. So like you said, it's very, very process driven.
Yeah.
It's very, very process heavy. And the way we try and do it is we understand the client's requirements, we understand where they're coming from, we go to their factory, we speak to their people, we understand pain points in their existing process so that we ensure that we don't repeat them again.
Absolutely. And you know, it is a very key part to brand building also for them, because you know why? If a product is not coming out healthy in the right way it should, with the kind of quality that it should have, it is very difficult to earn a name in the market. So basically, this is a very huge part when it comes to building a new product or coming up with a new idea or coming out with a new brand.
Absolutely, absolutely. So like, I mean, circling back to what you said earlier with respect to, you know, getting certifications. So we do a lot of food and beverages products, and so with food and beverages, there are a lot of good manufacturing practices that come into the picture, because if you have a single speck of dust in your packet of biscuit, that's as good as useless, because you're not maintaining health standards. So maintaining all those standards, they're exporting to so many places, you have halal certifications, you have so many different certifications that need to be met, and our designs ensure that that happens. And as far as newer products go, so for instance, we've currently started working with a company that is doing very, very specific defense related target drones, the first of its kind in India.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is something that's completely unventured territory for us as well, because this doesn't exist, the playbook for this does not exist in the country.
Absolutely.
But because we are factory design engineers first,
so aesthetics, you know, basic components and basic structures remain same for all the factories. Like मैं हमेशा ये कहता हूँ, like you might be a musician, you might be a graphic designer, you might be an animator, or you might be, you know, simply a brand building consultant or a painter, or you know, people who design. Even engineers are designers and creative people. The process of thinking remains and the structure of thinking remains the same, because these are the aesthetics based on which the final product comes out.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, what I'd like to believe is most people who are engineers and architects, they're problem solvers.
Absolutely.
You are, at the end of the day, you have been given a task that this is what we are looking to set up, this is what we are looking to make, this is how we want it to flow, now this is our plot of land, you help us achieve this dream. And through the work that we do, we have been doing this, we continue to do this, and we hope that for the next several years to come, we would be in a position to do this for our clients.
You're the head of sales, you're the head of business planning, you're the head of new procurement, new projects. How many things? I mean, 5 fingers, you've drawn a punch out of that.
Again, you're being really, really kind and sort of overselling, I guess, what I do for the company. No, but I have, again, been very, very fortunate to learn from the best teachers out there, not just my grandfather, who we lost the COVID in 2021, he was a towering figure and he did so much for our company.
Absolutely.
My parents, our business partner, Mr. Parag Varerkar, whose father started the company. So these 4 people, I have learned so much, not just from them, but we've had staff members who've been with us for 20, 30, 40 years.
And during the COVID period, you never took a penny home and made sure that your staff is well paid, well fed and looked after. I have always believed the heart count is greater than the head count, because the heart count is what makes a difference. And here we have a man with a heart in its right place.
No, absolutely. I mean, for us, COVID was a particularly difficult time because one, of course, nobody was setting up any factory, so there wasn't much business. Thankfully, there were a few clients who were setting up projects which kept us assured, but at the same time, you're not just responsible for your family as a business person, as an entrepreneur, you're responsible for the hundreds of people who are working with you and their families. So for us, I mean, one, of course, there was a loss of projects, then we lost my grandfather, we lost a dear staff member, Mr. Bhandari as well. So for us, our responsibility was to ensure that we had to take care of our family, which is our staff. So we didn't take any pay home for a year and we ensured that they were paid. Of course, they had to take a small pay cut and they were very gracious to say that, but thankfully, we didn't have to let go of anyone.
This is the reason why India is a prospering country, and this is the reason why we as a nation will never fail. क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ जो entrepreneurs हैं, जो व्यापारी हैं, वो सिर्फ अपना नहीं, उनका परिवार केवल उनके परिवार के सदस्यों तक सीमित नहीं है। उनमें वो सब शामिल हैं जो उस परिवार के लिए कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं, जो आपके परिवार के लिए कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं, जैसे कि सिद्धांत शाह की कंपनी में है। समय को देखते हुए वी आर शॉर्ट ऑन टाइम. आई विश वी कुड स्पीक फॉर अनदर आवर और टू, बट I have always believed that experience is not bound by age. Inspiration lies in every quarter. मेरा मानना ये नहीं है कि अगर कोई वृद्ध है या कोई 25 साल तक बिजनेस कर चुका है तो ही they would have a learning. At your age, I'm sure you have some kind of a learning and you're driven by something in life and inspiring, that the reason why you are performing like this today. What is that one thing that drives you ahead, that you jumped into this ocean of legacy?
So for me, the one thing that I've always imbibed from the people around me, the learnings that I've had from my grandfather, from my parents, from our business partners, is that no matter what happens, people always come first. Whether it's the people that we're working for, whether that's the people who are working with us, who are working for us, whether it's the people who are working in the factories that we are designing, our endeavor has always been to humanize industries, to take care of the people who are working with us. Empathy. And that is what, I mean, like, businesses will come, businesses will go, money will come, money will go. But if you run a business with empathy, you will go far.
Absolutely brilliant. And that is the first principle of design thinking as well. Empathy is the first rule and the first milestone you have to achieve in design thinking. And we have young Siddhant Shah, who is armed with his a heart full of empathy and with years of experience in family business that is close to 60 years. M.R. Varerkar and Associates is a pioneering example of how legacy should be taken forward. You know, I read somewhere in an article today in the newspaper that family businesses are dying, but I think this is a wonderful example and a lot can draw inspiration from this. Thank you so much, Siddhant, for being with us over here today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
No, it is our pleasure, and all our viewers will definitely thank you for the wonderful insights you've given and the motivation you've brought to the table. I thank our sponsors, Cloud Access, India's #1 cloud platform, Benson Trophies, the #1 trophy manufacturer in the country, Sama Enterprises, who are the most amazing when it comes to commercial contracting, and thank you so much, Tajiri, for the wonderful suit that I'm dressed in. We'll be back with our second guest. Until then, Sudarshan Ramakrishna Chetlur, keep waiting, we'll be back. So even before I ask your life story, आपकी जीवन की यात्रा को सबके सामने रखने से पहले मैं ये जानना चाहूँगा कि आप इतने पॉजिटिव कैसे रहते हैं?
बहुत डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन पूछा, बट दिस इज व्हाट लाइफ इज अबाउट. You just have to live in the moment, उसी वक्त उसी समय में रहना है और उसी को सबसे enjoy करना है.
If you're really watching this program at this moment, do one thing. Take a sponge, right? Take a sponge, immerse it in a mug of water or in a bucket of water. Then let it, sink in totally. Drown it inside that mug of water or bucket of water. Then bring it out. Then squeeze it. What do you see happens? Water pours out from all the pores of the sponge. That is what is called lifelong learning, because you become a porous person and you seep in knowledge all through your life. There is no age to taking knowledge. There is no age that defines learning. Even at your dying moment, you definitely learn something. And when you're thrust into a situation, it could be a challenging situation, or it could be a one-off situation, or something that you want to do, and you squeeze yourself because you're in that kind of a situation. Water, that is the source of life on earth, it pours out. Knowledge pours out of every pore of your body, from your mind, from your heart, and that's what makes you successful. Or हमारे बीच, a person of knowledge who has made lifelong learning her mission is Arti Kochhar, the Executive Director of BNI Gurgaon and Faridabad. It's a pleasure meeting you, ma'am, over here with us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you, Sudarshan.
I've heard so much about you. आपके बारे में इतना सुना है. आपके बारे में एंड आपके हस्बैंड राकेश कोचर के बारे में कि आरती एंड राकेश कोचर यू फेल्ट दैट कि कभी ना कभी तो मिलेंगे. एंड आई रियली थैंक आवर स्पॉन्सर्स फॉर हैविंग इनवाइटेड हर टू दिस शो, and it's a privilege to learn from you, ma'am.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here today.
So even before I ask your life story, आपकी जीवन की यात्रा को सबके सामने रखने से पहले मैं ये जानना चाहूंगा कि आप इतने पॉजिटिव कैसे रहते हैं, लाइक यू रेडिएटिंग विद पॉजिटिविटी एंड एनर्जी. इसका क्या राज है और आप अपने आप को ऐसे कैसे रखते हैं इन स्पाइट ऑफ so many challenges and so much of work pressure and so many things?
बहुत difficult question पूछा, but this is what life is about. You just have to live in the moment. उसी वक्त उसी समय में रहना है और उसी को सबसे enjoy करना है.
You know why? एक चीज मेरे को realize होती है कि we say present tense. Present tense इसलिए कहते हैं क्योंकि that moment वो एक तोहफा है. It's a gift. It is a present. That is why it is called present. So live in the present because वो moment ही सबसे बड़ा तोहफा है आपकी जीवन के लिए, right? So how has been your life's journey so far? There are so many things. इतनी सारी चीजें आपसे जानने के लिए, सीखने के लिए.
Life has been very interesting. शुरू हुई मेरी जिंदगी असम से. My father was in the tea gardens. फिर मैं स्कूलिंग मेरी हुई बोर्डिंग स्कूल में वेलम्स में, और इन सब एक्सपीरियंसेस ने सिखाया कि यू हैव टू जस्ट बी द बेस्ट पर्सन दैट यू आर, stand on your own feet and do it, make yourself independent. This was our learning. And of course फिर उसके बाद जैसे होता है, शादी हुई, got involved in bringing up my children and being a very hands-on mother. And then मैं थोड़ा expand कर दूँ, लाइफ में ना वो हो जाता है जो चैलेंज.
Absolutely.
मेरे लाइफ में ये चैलेंज आई. My husband was diagnosed with a very serious illness and things became very difficult. So जो इतना smooth चल रहा था life, suddenly change हो गया.
Yeah.
And फिर उसी टाइम आपको रियलाइज होता है आपके अंदर में कितनी शक्ति है and what you can do to make
the
a
true
difference.
strength of a human,
Yes.
वो तभी निकल कर आता है जब सामने उतना ही strong opponent खड़ा हो. मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ कि as and when you grow up, जिस तरह से आगे बढ़ते हैं और बड़े होते हैं और शक्तिशाली बनते हैं, एक प्रॉब्लम भी उतनी ज्यादा शक्तिशाली होती रहती है. Absolutely.
So true,
yeah. So challenges also have their own strength. They keep growing stronger. Because your strength is growing stronger.
Yes.
So how did you cope up with all that?
Because you have to, right? That is the thing. If you have something which happens in your life, you have to make the best of it. And I was, let's say, very hands-on mother, being a housewife, very, very comfortable in my life. Was doing all that I was doing, जैसे counseling वगैरह जो मैं करती थी, वो हमेशा क्योंकि इंटरेस्ट था वैसे ही करते थे. एंड माई अराउंड द टाइम एंड माई सन वर ग्रोइंग अप, वन ऑफ देम सेड, मॉम वी आर गोइंग टू गो अवे, what are you going to do with your life? And that's what I realized, कुछ करना है.
And that was when they were 14, 15 years old.
Yes.
That is somewhere in your mid 30s or a bit later than that you तब आपने बिजनेस स्टार्ट किया?
नहीं, तब मैं वापस पढ़ाई में गई।
ओह माय गॉड,
बैक इनटू री-एजुकेटिंग माय
सी
सेल्फ।
जो मैंने इंट्रोडक्शन दिया था वो कहीं से भी मैंने कोई भी गलत बात नहीं कही, बिकॉज एट दैट एज शी स्टार्टेड स्टडीइंग अगेन।
Yes, because you know what happens when you're young, you get married, you think I'll study after marriage.
शादी के बाद पढ़ लेंगे।
नहीं होता। नहीं होता। So then I re-educated myself, built up my skills again, and then when the opportunity came, got back into the world of business, or rather the consultancy world. So I was working with on behavioral skills, on organizational development, and I was very fortunate. Somebody gave me an opportunity to do that.
Wow.
And that is where my biggest learning in life came. आपको किसी को चांस हमेशा देना चाहिए, बिकॉज आप किसी को चांस देंगे, आपको भी चांस किसी ने दिया था.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So you have to give people an opportunity to do things. So that's how I was very fortunate. I had beautiful teachers. I was able to take this forward.
When a student is such as you, then obviously the teachers will have to be amazing, and you would take in knowledge from, मतलब आपके लिए तो मतलब knowledge पाना जिसकी चाह होती है वो तो पत्थर को भी गुरु बना लेता है.
So true. अभी भी मैं करती हूँ. Every year I decide on 2 to 3 courses that I have to do in the year, and I make sure before the year is out I have learned something new. So
wow, what an example. I think that is hats off to that kind of commitment. मतलब इतनी ज़्यादा शिद्दत से साल भर साल ऐसे करते रहना, और ये ना सोचना कि अब क्या पढ़ेंगे. अब कैन यू जस्ट इमेजिन हम किसके साथ बैठे. मतलब इट्स रियली अमेजिंग. बहुत अच्छा लगा आपसे ये सीखने की सच में वाकई कोई उम्र नहीं होती. आई विल कम बैक टू अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग. आप काउंसलिंग करते थे, इवन व्हेन यू डिडंट गेट इनटू वर्क. आपने पढ़ाई भी जब दोबारा शुरू नहीं करी, जब आपके बच्चे बड़े हो रहे थे, बिफोर दैट क्वेश्चन केम, तो उस टाइम पे आप किनको काउंसिल करते थे? आई एम श्योर छोटे मोटे कंपनीज एंड ऑल दैट वगैरह वहां से शुरू किया.
That time it was purely
friends.
No, it was more the social work. I was working with NGOs.
Okay.
I was working with Mother Teresa's home, because that's where I had a connect, where I felt that I could help. I was doing it more because it gave a lot of satisfaction. Happiness.
क्योंकि मतलब वो कहते हैं कि ना, अगर खुशी चाहिए तो फिर बाकी और चीजें क्यों ढूंढ रहे हो? आप खुशी ढूंढो ना. आप खुशी के पीछे जाओ, बाकी चीजें अपने आप हो जाएंगी. That is a perfect example of how you can seek out and pursue happiness. So the big question, how did BNI happen, and such a big name you have carved for yourself all through the nation, and even internationally people know you, and this wonderful book जो इन्होंने रिलीज करी है, From Breakdown to Breakthrough, 1000 BNI Stories of Change. आगे बढ़ते हुए मैं आपसे बात करना चाहूंगा. फर्स्टली थैंक यू सो मच फॉर दिस वंडरफुल बुक. आपने जो मुझे ये गिफ्ट किया, 1000 स्टोरीज ऑफ चेंज वॉल्यूम 2, BNI गुड़गांव फरीदाबाद, जिनकी आप एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर हैं. इसके लिए आपको प्रशंसा डायरेक्ट डॉक्टर आइवन माइजर से मिली, एंड ऑल्सो अ फॉरवर्ड रिटन बाय ग्राहम वेमिलर and compiled and edited by Shalini Sharma, who was my very first boss in advertising. So thank you so much. ये मतलब मेरे लिए मतलब this has a lot of emotional value for me right now. आप समझ सकती हैं, because there are people whom I know who have written this book.
और जब आप ये कहानियाँ पढ़ेंगे तो आपको बहुत ही अच्छा लगेगा, बिकॉज ये कहानियाँ जो है ये हमारे ये पैंडेमिक ईयर्स के बारे में है, व्हेन सब कुछ बंद हो गया था, लोग स्ट्रगल कर रहे थे, समझ नहीं आ रहा था बिजनेस कहाँ है, और उसी टाइम ये BNI कम्युनिटी ने प्रूव किया कि हम लोग क्या कर सकते हैं.
बहुत ही बढ़िया प्लेटफॉर्म है, एंड मैं भी इसका एक पार्ट हूँ, ऑफ कोर्स ऑफ अ डिफरेंट रीजन, सो दैट कंपटीशन. लेकिन ये मतलब इट्स अ लाइफ चेंजिंग.
खाली बोलते कोलैबोरेशन.
नहीं, हम सब कोलैबोरेशन में ही करते हैं काम. वो बात तो बिल्कुल ठीक है. और वाकई दोस्तों, ये एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म है जहां से कोई भी खाली हाथ कभी जा ही नहीं सकता. बाकायदा बशर्ते आपको पता हो वहां पे किस तरह से आपने अपने आप को ढालना है, क्योंकि हर एक जगह के अपने रूल्स होते हैं. आप उनको फॉलो कीजिए और आप देखिए आप कैसे सक्सेस की सीढ़ियों पे हर रोज अपने कदम जमाते जाएंगे। आपके रीजन में देर आर मोर देन 1300 से ज्यादा व्यापारी, और कितने ही आगे जा चुके होंगे। 10-12 साल हो चुके हैं आपको।
जनवरी में हमारे 13 साल हो जाएंगे।
कैसा लगता है ये जानकर कि आपने एक इतना बड़ा रोल प्ले किया इन सबके जीवन में, जो भी वहां है और वो जो वहां अभी नहीं है वो भी? हाउ डज इट फील?
पता है, ज़िंदगी में यू फील कि एक चीज़ करें जिससे कोई आपको याद कर दे। एंड फॉर मी आई वांट टू जस्ट बी अ कैटलिस्ट कि सब आई कैन हेल्प समबडी अचीव व्हाट दे वांट टू अचीव। वो अपना रास्ता ढूंढ लें, वो अपना मार्ग देख लें, वो आप देख लें कि उनको कहाँ जाना है। एंड दैट इज़ व्हाट वी एड वैल्यू।
एब्सोल्युटली, मतलब शायद आप उनको डायरेक्टली हेल्प ना कर पाए, लेकिन आप उनको वो रास्ता दिखा सकते हैं कि भाई यहाँ आ जाओ, इनसे मिल लो, यू नो दैट काइंड ऑफ थिंग। इंटेंशन, जो नियत जिसे कहते हैं, और आपने और नियत ही उसी प्रकार होगी जिस तरीके की नियत होगी। So that is the reason why
it is a beautiful space. I think what people find here, they come for business, they stay because of the relationships they form, they stay because of the learning they get, and everybody can move ahead. अपने पर्सनल लाइफ में, अपने प्रोफेशनल लाइफ में, यू सडनली लर्न कि देयर इज़ सो मच यू कैन गेट फ्रॉम ईच अदर। सबसे बड़ा लर्निंग होता है एक दूसरों से बात करने में, और यही इस खासियत है BNI की, क्योंकि यह जगह दे देती है लोगों को कि आप आइए और आप एक दूसरे से लर्न करिए।
फैबुलस, बहुत ही बढ़िया बताया आपने। मैं ना मतलब आपके साथ अगर 15 घंटे भी बैठेंगे ना तो बहुत कम लगेंगे, क्योंकि आपके पास इतना कुछ है देने के लिए, इतना कुछ है बताने के लिए, और इतनी प्यारी कहानियां हैं। मतलब आई एम रियली श्योर दैट यू ऑल विल बी इंस्पायर्ड सो मच। लेकिन समय की सीमा को समझते हुए मैं आपसे एक आखिरी प्रश्न करना चाहूंगा।
हाँ जी, जरूर।
What is it that inspires you to go on under any situation, in any situation? वो क्या चीज़ है जो आपको आवाज़ देती है, जो आपको लगता है आपकी सबसे बड़ी सीख, जो आप सबके साथ शेयर करना चाहेंगे?
आई थिंक मेरे लिए यही है कि वी आर हियर फॉर अ शॉर्ट टाइम। हमारे लाइफ में बहुत कुछ हो चुका है, विच हैज़ शोन मी दैट टाइम इज़ वेरी प्रेशियस। यू नेवर नो आगे क्या होने वाला है, तो उस जो टाइम है उसका बेस्ट करिए। और अगर आप किसी को हेल्प कर सकते हैं, किसी को चांस दे सकते हैं, किसी को कोई भी सपोर्ट दे सकते हैं, दे दीजिए, क्योंकि वो आपके लिए और उसके लिए लाइफ चेंजिंग हो सकता है।
दोस्तों, समुंदर में हर एक बूंद उतनी ही कीमती है जितना कि पूरा समुंदर। उसका खुद का भी योगदान है, और आप भी वो बूंद पानी बन सकते हैं और उस समुंदर को भर सकते हैं, और बूंद बूंद से पूरा समुंदर बनता है। और आपका फर्ज है कि आप किसी को मौका दें खुद एक बूंद पानी बनने का, और किसी की मदद करें जिंदगी में ऊपर उठने के लिए। राइज एंड शाइन, बट नेवर विदाउट अ स्माइल। स्माइल में माइल आता है। द माइल्स ऑफ लाइफ यू वॉक are supposed to be with a smile, and that is why you will keep rising and shining, just like Arti Kochhar over here with us today, the executive director of BNI Gurgaon and Faridabad. Thank you so much, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमारे बीच में आने के लिए, हमारे दर्शकों को अपना कीमती समय देने के लिए और इतनी पॉजिटिविटी फैलाने के लिए। थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू, इट्स बीन अ प्लेजर बीइंग ऑन दिस शो।
थैंक यू सो मच मैम। और इसी के साथ में अपने स्पॉन्सर्स का भी धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा। बेंसन ट्रॉफी द नंबर 1 ट्रॉफी मैन्युफैक्चरर इन द कंट्री, Cloud Access, the number 1 cloud platform, and Samay Enterprises, one of the best commercial contractors you can ever get in touch with. And thank you so much, Tajiri, for this wonderful suit. My name is Sudarshan Ramakrishna Chetlur. एक बूंद पानी बनना बहुत जरूरी है। अपना घड़ा भरते रहिए और दूसरों को उससे पानी पिलाते रहिए। अगले एपिसोड में फिर मिलेंगे और 2 नए गेस्ट के साथ। आपकी कहानी, आपकी जुबानी, लीडर्स टुडे। दिस इज द 5th एपिसोड। थैंक यू।